Well, I'm off to Aberdeen today to do some photography, and I'm going by train. Well, now that we're in Aberdeen, time to take a walk up to the beach and crack on with some photography. See you at the beach. Well, it's been a good 45-minute walk from the station. Took longer because of the snow and just icy conditions underfoot, so we've got to be careful. But I've arrived at the beach, so we're going to have a bit of a recce. There's occasionally some good movement in the water coming in today, which might lend itself to what I have in mind, and so we'll pop down there in a moment. Well, this is the spot. Quite fortunate the tide's actually on the ebb, so I can be reasonably close to the water here without having to worry about making a swift retreat as it comes in, because it's going out. So this is the shot really. I want to take a shot down that groin out towards sea. There's nothing really distracting in the background, so this is going to be a long exposure shot. As you can probably hear, there's quite a bit of action in the waves today. So so we'll set up. I think what I'm going to do once I get set up is get the camera on the tripod, obviously for a long exposure shot. I'll take a shot at what we might call a normal exposure, something like 2/50th of a second or whatever, and then keeping the camera in the same position in the tripod. I'll change the settings, get the ND filters on, set up for a long exposure. That means when I get back into post, I've got the choice where, say there's a seagull or something flies through the shot, we stop that in the regular shot, regular exposure, and then I've got the option to blend the two together. I mean, that may or may not happen, but if I take both shots, I have the option. So without any further ado, we'll get set up and crack on. So this was 100th of a second at f10, and then after that we get the ND filters on and start getting ready for the long exposure, which is just standing there for a couple of minutes, timer in hand and the cable release. And here is the long exposure shot, and this is the final one after editing. Okay, well that's a couple of long exposures in the bag there, down along that groin. But just looking over in the other direction there towards Girdleness Lighthouse, there's a really interesting bank of cloud in the background. So I think what I might do is turn the camera around, get a shot of that, and do the double up thing again. So I'll do a standard exposure, then a long exposure, and probably think about blending those two in post. This was a 30th of a second at f22, and then here is the long exposure, and then finally here's the two shots merged together, so we've got a nice smooth foreground but the sky holds the detail. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy about how those look in camera anyway. I should say that the two long exposures, well, three actually that I took in total, were 2 minutes 16 seconds, and that was on 12 stops of ND filter. So yeah, we'll see how that looks once I get into post, but for the moment I'm cold, I'm hungry, so I think it's time to head to the Inversnecky, warm up with maybe a nice mug of coffee and something to lunch, because it is lunchtime. Well, unfortunately in the afternoon the wind really picked up and made the audio and the rest of the video that I shot unusable, but here's a look at some of what I did in the rest of the day. So I took a walk through the Christmas village on my way to Union Terrace Gardens, where some work has been done in changing the outlook of the place, renewing the terraces, and a couple of these promontories have come into play which allow you to overlook the gardens down below, where that Aberdeen sign certainly lent itself to that photo opportunity. And I really like the end result there, where there's something about the grey granite that just lends itself to a black and white treatment. Then there was just time for a quick coffee before the journey home.
If you see something that does not look right, speak to a member of staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. Near Shoreditch. Here. Say it sorted.
Well, back in the car after what's been a grand day out. So after getting the long exposure shots that I wanted, that I intended to in Aberdeen, I wandered around, took one or two shots just around the town, so I'll maybe close out the video with those. But please do remember, if you've enjoyed this, to hit the like button, do subscribe if you can. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me widen the scope of this channel, get to more people. So thanks once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.